Thank you, Nestor. Chief Judge Frances Tydingco Gatewood says, "I think all of us here in the courtroom do not want defendants to be treated inhumane." Directly after federal public defender John Gorman makes his initial arguments on the motion for inhumane conditions on behalf of the 9 clients the Office of the Federal Public Defender represents.
Present in the courtroom was Counsel Gorman and his team of attorneys, the 9 inmates and detainees, 4 attorneys with the United States government, and U.S. Marshal John Gorman, a supervisor of the facility. The court noted who was not present: the government of Guam and the Department of Corrections. These are 2 parties to the declaration and supplemental declaration, also alleged to play a serious role in the unconstitutional and inhumane violations at the island's lockup facilities. Just this morning, a supplemental declaration was filed. It states that since the initial declaration, DOC leadership has retaliated and threatened the inmates and detainees. Attorney Gorman asked the court to conduct an on-site visit, requested for a list of remedial actions taken since the motion was filed in January, and requested a copy of the intergovernment agreement between DOC and the U.S. Marshals from Washington.
We want to find out, obviously there's some inhumane, unconstitutional conditions at the Hagåtña Detention Center. So we'd like to see what is the contract and whether DOC and or the U.S. Marshals are living up to that contract. So it's really important that we get that contract. Because how is this happening? Why? So that's what we want to know.
Another important factor, determining the best legal way to remedy the situation. Another challenge at hand, the Office of the Federal Public Defender is barred by law and cannot represent the inmates in a civil action lawsuit.
We only represent indigent clients and only in criminal cases, so we don't do civil cases.
However, the U.S. government can, through a Bivens action, as done similarly in the past on the consent decree that went from 1991 until 2017, that concluded with a dismissal by the court. On behalf of the prosecution, U.S. Attorney Mike Schwab recommends a productive solution would be to specify the particular problems of each inmate, also stating that they are not impressed with the maintaining of the Hagåtña Detention or Mangilao prison, and tells the court he's heard federal detainees are treated better than Mangilao inmates. And like the past complaint against DOC, the court orders a similar remedy this afternoon. Chief Judge Frances Tydingco Gatewood asked U.S. Marshal John Gorman to take the stand. Gorman told the court they have seen the declarations and are looking into the matters, and they are working with newly appointed DepCorp Director Joe Carbolito to rectify the issues. Attorney Gorman asked for a 2-week continuance in order to receive the agreement prior to any cross-examinations on Gorman. Ultimately, the court granted the request and asked for Gorman to work with DOC, the Office of the Federal Public Defender, and the inmates on the immediate concerns.
There are some immediate conditions I think that we can work together and remedy, but there are systemic problems, and that's what I worry about.
The major problems dealing with the lack of mental health personnel, ignored medical concerns, and the deteriorating conditions of the jail. Attorney Gorman tells KUAM the contract will outline who is held responsible for maintaining the facility and the rights of the inmate.
The court scheduled a return for February 24th and asked Gorman to make a request with officials in Washington to expedite the contract request.